My daughter came to me and she said, "Dad, do people who have no faith have a harder life?"
Welcome back, everybody. It's great to have you.
It's so good to see you. Now, we were going to give you a life update and all the wonderful things that are happening in the Yasinski household, but something more important has come up. Because this channel is not about us. We want to highlight the glory of God and help people live the Catholic life. So particularly today, we're going to talk about parenting. Some things have come up that we have learned, some conversations and experiences that we've had as a family that we'd like to share with you that I think would be beneficial to some. Mm-hmm. So you're learning some stuff.
Right. Okay. So this morning I was just listening to a podcast. Actually, there's this lady that I've been kind of following on Instagram, and she started a podcast called Joyful Motherhood. And if you get a chance to go check her out, she's really great. Her name is Alex. And she was just talking about how she gave up her profession as a nurse practitioner to be a full-time mom at home, raising her 5 sons. And I just thought that was really admirable because it's hard, like especially when you've devoted so much time to your career and then to step away from it. And I feel like that is a bit of a trap, especially for women, because we do, like right out of high school, go into post-secondary education, get these careers, and then you feel like, wow, what was that for? What was the purpose if I'm just going to stay home with my kids? But clearly what God is saying is that the most important work is mothering. And I think we can't forget that God desires us to be with our children. I'm not saying that all women are meant to be at home 100% of the time, but I'm just saying that that is the duty of a mother, is the primary duty of the mother, is to be with the children, raising the children.
And I think women have just been sold a bunch of lies regarding this. They're told you can have it all. You can have it all. You can get that great education, climb that corporate ladder, you can get married, and then you can be a great mom all at the same time. You can't have it all. It's just not possible. If a person wants to go, and that is also true for a father, if you really want to pour your whole life, and I'm talking your whole life, into a career, then don't get married, whether one's a man or a woman. Because if you pour your whole life into a career, you got nothing left when it comes to your family. You don't have time. You don't have the emotional space. You're spiritually spent because you have given your whole life to your career. Now, me as a father, I have to provide for my family. I am the primary provider. And so I'm always like, how can I provide? But one of the things that I've done is I've scaled back my speaking so that I could be a better husband and father. Like greatly scaled back. And I want to thank you who tune in and watch our videos for allowing that to happen, and our supporters who support us. You've allowed me to do that. And I am so grateful to you who watch, who support. I just can't thank you enough. Now, I do give full-time hours to this, but speaking on the other side, man, it was just so consuming. I don't want to get into like that, but it was just so consuming, and it really did hurt our family, I think.
And I can see the pull that a lot of women have, And
I think that the most important thing as parents is not our careers. Mm-hmm. The most important thing is raising our kids in the faith. Mm-hmm. And I just came out of some wonderful conversations a couple hours ago. So we live here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. In 1999, I started a Catholic evangelization ministry called Face-to-Face Ministries. I left in that organization
in 2010, I think?
Somewhere around.
No, it was 14? Like 2000, yeah, you're right,
2014. So I'm not involved anymore at all with the day-to-day operations, anything. I go and speak when they ask me to, and I'm grateful to do that. But I'm incredibly grateful for the leadership there because the ministry has continued to flourish, providing programming for young people from junior high right up to high school, and even some young adults, getting empowered. And now the organization that I was blessed to start in 1999, we as parents now are personally benefiting from this because our children are now involved. as
they're now
participants.
old enough to go to these events.
It's unbelievable. When you start something in 25 years ago, you never think, how is this going to affect my future children?
Yeah. No.
Do you want to speak to that?
Right. So anyhow, for example, last week our daughter Madeleine, she's 13. She went and attended the high school camp, which is a 5-day overnight camp, and out in a small town. And anyhow, it's called Ignite, and it's incredibly beautiful. And even when it began in 2007, I know, like Ken, you would often say, like, Ignite is the most fruitful facet of the ministry up to date. Yeah. And so it's such a wonderful thing to see that it's still going on now. So that was our daughter Madeleine. And then this week, there's something called Ignite Junior for grades 6 to 8. And we have 2 children attending that this week. And so Ken just dropped them off.
And it's a day camp for those younger kids. So we pick them up at the cathedral downtown when they're done.
Not downtown.
Oh, not downtown, but
the cathedral.
The cathedral, right. Not downtown. What's interesting, though, is that when I go drop the kids off, I'm seeing second generation face-to-facers, meaning that people who participated in the ministry when I led it back in the early days from 1999 till 2014, that area, now they're parents, they're married and have kids themselves, and they're bringing their kids to these events. So I'm reconnecting with these parents, and I'm realizing something. Those parents who are dropping their kids off have that vision that the most important thing is to raise the kids in the faith, and that's why they're dropping the kids off at these events. And some of them are driving like 5 hours just so their kids have an opportunity to get good Catholic solid formation. Because the reality is, in most places, that's not being provided. So people go where they're fed. And so we are seeing parents drive hours and hours and hours to drop their young people off at these events so that they get good formation. So we're so blessed that we're 10 minutes away. Mm-hmm. There was another gentleman, old friend, who flew his kids from in another part of Canada so that they would have that opportunity. So when I'm meeting these parents again, or reconnecting with them for the first time after 15, 20 years, you're seeing like the fruits of this in their life, and now they want to raise their kids, and so they're bringing them to where they see they're getting fed. This leads me to the point, to Catholic parents who might be watching, with this point. Your career is not more important than the salvation of your children. So if you find yourself in an environment where you have nothing for your children, what are you going to do about it? I've spoken to some parents who are considering relocating to our area because they see the opportunity for spiritual growth here in this community where they might not have it where they're from. If I was in that situation, I would consider that as well. Because the career is not more important than the salvation of children. You can always get another job, another means of income. It's important for a father to provide for his family. But to have a community is so important in passing on the faith. Mm-hmm. And I'm just willing to guess that many who are watching, or many families who are watching, don't have that, or they struggle with that. So and this is more radical, but would you consider moving to a place where you would have that? Or you create that, mm-hmm. and you intentionally form relationships with other families who are of like mind, mm-hmm. which is something that we do.
I remember, like, when I was 18 years old, I attended a Bible college, and a gentleman then there said to us, like, right as we were departing after a year of formation, he said, if you do not have community, create community. And I really took that to heart. And I feel like the Lord, if you pray for friends, for your kids, he will provide a means for you. And whether that is you traveling 5 hours to go somewhere, or he'll bring people into your community to provide that friendship and that fellowship for your family.
One of the things that we do is we try and help other families create community. And we do this by welcoming people into our home to say the rosary once a month. You know, again, we've shared this with you before, but we have like 60 to 80 to 90 people who will come into our home. Many of these families that we don't necessarily know all that well, but what's happening in our home is that they're connecting with each other and forming relationships. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have some wisdom from St. John Chrysostom for you. Let everything take second place to our care of our children, our bringing them up to the discipline and instruction of the Lord. If from the beginning we teach them to love true wisdom, they will have great wealth and glory than riches can provide. If a child learns a trade or is highly educated for a lucrative profession, all this is nothing compared to the art of detachment from riches. If you want to make your child rich, teach him this. He is truly rich who does not desire great possessions or surround himself with wealth, but who requires nothing. Don't think that only monks need to learn the Bible. Children about to go out into the world stand in greater need of scriptural knowledge. Well, I guess this just makes me think a little bit about the virtue of poverty, just being detached from whatever we have in our life, whether it is our career, whether it is, our identity or our status or whatever it is, just to be completely detached and just being willing to do whatever the Lord has for us.
And as parents, we want to raise children who are truly rich. And we're not talking about the monetary finances here. We're talking about being detached from the world and seeking God's will in all things.
Mm-hmm.
As a father of 7 children with the 8th on the way, nothing will give me more joy than a child seeking to live God's will. Because what else is there? St. John mentions that we have to teach our children to love true wisdom. My daughter came to me a little while ago and she said, "Dad, do people who have no faith have a harder life?" And I thought about that for a moment and I thought, yes, in a couple respects. It says, can you imagine when you do something wrong and you sin and you feel ashamed about it, but you don't believe in confession? You don't believe in a God that can forgive you? You have to carry that sin for the rest of your life. Can you imagine how hard that would be? She was like, "Oh, that would be very hard."
Mm-hmm.
I said, so in this way, yes, their life would be harder. And I went on to say, and the only way that our hearts truly find peace is by living for God. And the hardest life to live is a life that is not at peace. So in this way, people who don't believe what we believe, yes, if they're not at peace, their life could be harder. And if they don't find forgiveness of sin, their life in this life is harder. That's true wisdom that I was able to pass on to our child, and I'm so grateful. I think she was thinking about monetariness.
Mm-hmm.
I think the worldly comforts.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to steer her to the interior life. And she got it. She understood.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I think we're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Please share with us below what stood out to you and why in our sharing with you. And we'll see you next week. God bless.
I think too, like just the fact that you're available to have those conversations, like you're not gone all the time. So then the kids can have those conversations with you.
Mm-hmm. That's a blessing.